Hi, welcome to the Online Teen Book Squad.
Hi guys. Welcome back for another week. We will be talking about some fantasy and science fiction books that we've been reading recently because we do have some exciting news, which we will tell you at the end of the session. Catherine, what fantasy or science fiction book have you been reading?
Well, I picked up The Rise of Kyoshi by F.C. Yee. So for those of you who might have heard of it, it's based in the universe of Avatar. There was a TV show in around 2005 called Avatar: The Last Airbender that started off this universe, and then they had sequel comics to that, and then a sequel TV show based on the next Avatar after Aang, which was Cora in Legend of Korra. So this is kind of different because it's a prequel. So it's based on Kyoshi, who was the two avatars before Aang. So she was the last earthbending avatar, and she was also the longest lived. So this book's actually really exciting because it delves into her as a character, starting from before she was even discovered as the avatar. Until it's supposed to go up, I think, until her death, but there's more books in the series, so this one goes to a certain point, and then it has this massive cliffhanger ending saying to be continued in the next book, which I found a little bit annoying because I was invested, and then now I've got to wait for another book.
Yeah, it's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah, but basically after 9 years after the previous avatar died, the world's desperately searching for the next avatar who becomes born as soon as the previous one dies, basically. So they thought they discovered the avatar, a young, charming earthbender called Avatar Yun, and so stability is brought back to the Four Nations. Until one day, Kyoshi, who's Yun's unassuming friend and servant, does this amazing bending and puts into question who is the current avatar. So with growing unrest among her allies and this violence rising, Kyoshi takes off with her fire-bending companion, Rangi, and also takes with her some of the mementos left by her parents, and disappears and tries to find training while on the run, I guess, which is kind of hard until they discover Delphi, which is the Earth Kingdom word for criminals. So it then follows a bit of morality between Kyoshi being torn between following the traditional path of an avatar and seeking vengeance for those who she lost. It was a little bit over the place with the writing style for me. I felt like the time skips were too sudden and a bit confusing. The world building was really good. I loved learning about the Earth Kingdom world, and because in The Last Airbender, you know about the air nomads and the Air Nation, and then in Cora you discover more about the water tribes. So it was really interesting to see the Earth Kingdom, especially in that time period, which is set about 200-300 years before Avatar: The Last Airbender. And Kyoshi herself, discovering her journey was really interesting, although the voice of her character I felt was a little bit modern for the time period. That could have just been me and the way I was reading it, but I did like her though still, and I like the fact that it had the romance in a similar style to the two TV shows, how it was there, but it wasn't this whole thing. So it was just like subtle, but it still focused on the Avatar world. As I said, I was very disappointed about the cliffhanger, so I'm kind of keen to read the sequel. But at the minute, I'd probably rate the book about 3.5 stars, because while I did enjoy it, I feel I might be able to give it a better rating once I really see how this author completes the journey. But he has got me invested, so props to them. Yeah, that's my book. What about yours?
I've been reading A Spark of White Fire by Sangu Mandana. This is based on an Indian story called the Mahabharata, and I'm sorry if I butchered that. I did practice it a few times, so hopefully I got it right. It is set in space, and it is described on Goodreads, I believe, as a space opera. So a space opera is something like Star Wars, where it's usually spans a number of years, can be kind of melodramatic, and is on a pretty large scale. So they go from planet to planet, and yeah, pretty much that's a space opera, I think. I am not sure I would describe this as a space opera. I felt like it was more like a fantasy novel, which is a bit weird because, again, it is set in space. But it's kind of interesting because in this world there are these two spaceships called Witch Star and Kali, and they're terraformed. So if you know what terraforming is when you take earth and trees and stuff from Earth and you put it on a spaceship or you put it on a planet to make it more like Earth. Because these people in this story came from Earth and they wanted to make it as much like Earth as possible. So when they are on Kali and when they are on Witch Star, you kind of forget that they're in space because there's an atmosphere and there are trees, etc., etc. But it is partially set in space as well. So that's kind of the world. I did feel like the world building was really good, but I should talk about the plot and the characters. So the main character is called Esme, and she is kind of like a banished princess. So she came from the planet or the spaceship of Kali, and she's a member of the royal family, but she lives on Witch Star. And on Kali, there is a king called Elvar who is not the true king. So he stole the throne from Esme's brother, Alexei. And Esme wants to help her brother reclaim the throne, and her plan to do that is to go into this competition to win a sentient warship called the Titania, and then get Alexei on side to reclaim this throne. I will leave the plot at that. It's interesting. It's got a lot of gods and goddesses in this book, and they can help humans. So she's got this goddess friend called Amber, who's kind of her guardian angel, I guess, and who gives her advice about what to do. She doesn't necessarily take it though. I think this book would be good for anyone who likes political intrigue. So if you like a book where the main character has to employ diplomacy to get things to go her way, or who has to be very cunning, this might be the book for you. I also liked how it wasn't black and white. In a lot of young adult books, it's very much good versus evil. There's like the usurper who is on the throne and shouldn't be there, and then there's the rightful heir who, by the end of the book, is returned to his rightful place. This isn't really like that. It's definitely a lot more complicated than that, and no one is really, innocent or perfect. Which Esme then comes to realise. I did enjoy this one. I think I would give it, as you did, about a 3.5 out of 5. That's my book. And we wanted to talk about a couple of things before we say goodbye for this week. So tomorrow, something quite exciting is happening. We are going to be having a science fiction and fantasy writing workshop. So if you are someone who is interested in writing, especially if you're someone who's interested in writing science fiction and fantasy, you can tune into this workshop and learn a thing or two about how to write a little bit better. So all the details are on the Bayside Library Eventbrite, which you can access through our website, which is www.library.bayside.nsw.gov.au. Just click on the big E and it should take you to our Eventbrite and you can book in. One other thing that I wanted to mention is we are moving back to face-to-face sessions. So I believe this is the second last online session that we'll be having.
That sounds right. We're going back to face-to-face on the 9th of February.
Yeah, so the 9th of February, you can again book into that online. I don't think the bookings are up yet, but they should be up about a week before.
So that'll be at Rockdale, and then we'll do one at East Gardens later in the month. I think they're going Rockdale every second Tuesday, and East Gardens every fourth Tuesday.
Yeah.
But it'll all be up on Eventbrite, and we'll probably be advertising on Facebook as well. So just tune in and keep your eye out.
Yeah.
So what are we going to be doing in the first session?
We'll just be talking about books that we've been reading recently. There's no set book or anything like that. So if you've been reading a really good book lately and you want to talk about it, feel free to, have a discussion. Or if you haven't been reading anything and you've been watching a really good TV show, we can also talk about that as well.
Basically, any pop culture things you've been doing lately that you want to share, we'd be happy to hear.
Yep, that was it for this session. We'll say goodbye now. Bye.
Bye.